This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Is the AFC too difficult? Is it more difficult than it's ever been? Is it less difficult than we actually think it is? What's the reality, and what does that mean for the Cleveland Browns? What made me think about this was this graphic that Pro Football Focus pointed out or posted, right? And they go, their top 10 AFC rankings. And you know how people are with these kind of things. They get all up in arms. Who's in the top 10, who's not. It's funny to me that people are arguing about a top 10 when we're talking about there's 16 teams in the AFC, man. It's not that big of a deal to be in the top 10. Top 5, yes. Top 7 means you would be a playoff team in their eyes. But like arguing about who in the top 10, who's left off, like that's kind of like funky. Like what's the real benefit in doing that? Because again, number 10 is 10 of 16. That's not necessarily them saying that the Steelers are going to be good. But you look at it and you think top 10 and you don't really think, oh, there's only 32 teams. And what does it really mean to be top 10? It's because we've used like these numbers, these arbitrary numbers to talk about what's the top and elite and everything else. And the NFL is what, top 7? Top 7 should be used more. Top 7s and top 5s, but top 10s gets everybody involved. You can add more teams, more opportunities for fans to be crazy about it, which is going to lead to more people clicking and talking about your article like I'm doing right now. So good on PFF. It worked. But I want to first talk about all of these teams because I do think that the AFC is difficult, but I also don't think it's much more difficult than it's been before. I can see how that can be felt. Right? Because it seems like every year the AFC is just adding people, right? The Texans got a quarterback in Will Anderson. The Jets just got Aaron Rodgers. And Russell's still there somewhere. Like, we just compound and add these things on top of each other. But remember, this is the offseason. It's real easy to get carried away with teams that ain't done nothing yet in the offseason. And when I look at the AFC, I see a clear tier. A 3-tier system. What's that 3-tier system? It's this. Number 1 is the Chiefs. They are in a tier by themselves. They're the only multiple-time champion. They are the Patriots of this generation. They have the best quarterback in the NFL. You can argue the best coach in the NFL. They are the measuring stick. They are 1, and they are above everybody else significantly. They have the best quarterback significantly, and I understand. People going to want to make the argument, hey, Josh Allen ain't that far off or Joe Burrow ain't that far off. Yes, they are. And here's how you know they are. When we talk about Pat Mahomes, we don't even compare him to his peers anymore. Right? Like, we don't compare Pat Mahomes to Josh Allen. We don't compare Pat Mahomes to Joe Burrow. We compare the stuff that Pat Mahomes has done to the stuff that we have seen from Hall of Famers. He's already a Hall of Famer. He's already in the conversation for one of the 5 best quarterbacks of all time. He ain't even 30 yet. Different tier. Joe Burrow, we talk about, is he better than Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? He's still amongst his peers. They are not. The Chiefs are not amongst their peers right now. And that's a big problem for the AFC. And then you have the second tier, the contenders. There's the Bengals, who I'll put above the Bills here. And then there's the Bills. And this is my point about the AFC. Outside of the Chiefs, the Bengals and the Bills. And those are the 3 teams that have 100% earned, like, trust that they're going to be contender status. Bengals 2 AFC championship games in a row. Chiefs. And the Bills have been advancing in the playoffs since, 2019? It's been a long time since the Bills didn't make the play. It's funny, the Bills used to have a playoff drought. I think they've been in the playoffs like consecutively since 2019 when they first made it, or was it 2018? They made it with Tyrod in 2017 or 16 or something like that. So they've made the playoffs a bunch. So those are the three teams that, okay, they're not going anywhere. Will they win their division? I don't know. But they're not. They're going to be in the playoffs. Like, unless somebody gets hurt. And when I mean somebody, I mean unless Pat Mahomes gets hurt for a significant time, unless Joe Burrow gets hurt for a significant time, and unless Josh Allen gets hurt for a significant time, those teams are going to be there, man. Ain't nothing you're going to be able to do about it. Then there is the tier that I would say is from 3 to 9. And every team from 3 to 9 could be anything. Well, no, my bad. From 4 to 9 could be anything. They could be the 1 seed. They could be the 15 team. Like, I don't know. We look at the Jets. And yeah, you look at the Jets on paper, good roster. They just brought in a quarterback. It should work, but we saw this with Russell Wilson to a limited point with Deshaun Watson last year. Just simply throwing a quarterback on a great roster does not automatically equal success. Does it work out from time to time? Yes. Matt Stafford is a great example of that, even though the last 2 years of Matt Stafford have also happened. And then that's also something I think we should think about with this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, man. Aaron Rodgers is about 40 years old. And I understand he just won 2 MVPs like a couple years ago. But age comes for everybody. And the only person I've seen get better at 40 is Tom Brady. And there's nothing about Aaron Rodgers that suggests he's Tom Brady. Like, they don't have the same play style. They don't have the same philosophy about the game. They're not the same person at all. Like, there's nothing to me that suggests that Aaron Rodgers is going to be identical to Tom Brady, because we've been wanting Aaron Rodgers to be identical to Tom Brady for his whole career, and he ain't Tom. You can look at the Super Bowl appearances. He's not Tom. He's at 1. Tom's at like 13. So we can put these expectations or assume that he's going to be Tom, but he's not Tom. He ain't never been Tom his whole career. Why are we expecting him to do the one thing that we've only seen the greatest quarterback of all time do? At 40, in New York, in a new offense, with Nathaniel Hackett, the same dude who gave us Russell Wilson last year. Like, I don't know, man. That could be anything. They could be the 1 seed. They could be the worst team in football. I wouldn't be surprised either way. You look at the Chargers, and I mean, come on, the Chargers. Look, the Chargers, they're probably going to be in the playoffs. What they do in the playoffs, I don't know. But they go probably be in the playoffs, right? I'll give them that respect, but they don't strike any fear into the Bengals or the Bills or the Chiefs. And while the Jets, I think if the Jets had got it together and Aaron Rodgers was really good this year, that would scare the top 3 teams in this conference. I don't think that happens necessarily if the Chargers are playing really well. And then we look at the Browns and the Ravens, and I find these 2 teams fascinating because both of these teams really need a lot of things to go right in order to be good. But boy, oh boy, if those things go right, these 2 teams could be the best 2 teams in the NFL. We'll start with the Browns. That's what you came here for. If this defense gets better, and you look at the talent on this defense, Denzel Ward, man, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, J.O.K., Myles Garrett, they got Dalvin Tomlinson, they got Juan Thornhill. They got so much talent on the side of the ball they're not even good at. So if that gets fixed and this defense becomes good, hell, if it becomes great under the leadership of Jim Schwartz, and then you flip over to the offensive side of the ball, you got Amari Cooper, who I think a lot of people have forgotten about. You know what I mean? You got Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's really solid last year. You got David Njoku, one of the better offensive lines, Nick Chubb, and Deshaun Watson. I can easily see how the Browns could be one of the best teams in football. I can also see how the Browns can play themselves out of the playoffs, right? Because this has been a team plagued with just weird issues throughout the years. Penalties, being a big deal for whatever reason a year. Players getting suspended. Myles Garrett and Deshaun Watson both have gotten suspended indefinitely in the last 5 years. Just weird stuff happening. Bad breaks. It happens with this team. So while they could be one of the best teams in football, and again, I think they're a little bit different from the Chargers because, again, I think the Chargers' ability to make the playoffs is a higher percentage. I think it's a higher chance that they make the playoffs. But I also think the chance that they advance, if they make it, is much lower than the Browns or the Jets. Right? If the Jets or Browns make the playoffs, they're probably going to advance in the playoffs. Same thing with the Ravens, unless they play each other. And the Ravens are another team that, hey, I can see how this could work. Right? You got Lamar Jackson. You got Odell Beckham. Got decent offensive line. You got good running backs. New offense. So nobody going to be running routes in the same place. You got a great defense. Oh, yeah, I can see how it could work for the Ravens. But again, look at what we're expecting to go right. In the same way that the Browns need a bunch of young players to step up, in the same way that the Browns need to get to a new defense and have that figure itself out, and the quarterback to need to figure out an offense and get to where he was a couple years ago, same thing for the Ravens. The Ravens are relying on Odell Beckham, who has had like 5 knee surgeries in the last 5 years. Well, not 5. That's dramatic. I'm being hyperbolic. But he's had a lot of knee surgeries for a guy who's 31. He had such a drastic knee injury in 2021 that he missed the entire 2022 season. And he's a player whose game was predicated on his extreme athletic ability. I could see how that could be a disaster. Hey, if it works, it's going to be great. If it doesn't, Tom Monken. A lot of people have forgotten he had a pretty big hand in that Freddie Kitchens offense. And I know people till this day lie and act like Todd didn't have anything to do with that because Todd tried to leak that out. Todd had a lot to do with that disaster in Cleveland in 2019 on the offensive side of the ball, whether he'll ever admit it or not. You look at those personnel packages, they look a lot like, in the plays that he ran, they look a lot like what he ran in Tampa Bay and Georgia. That's Tom Monken's work. Freddie Kitchens was definitely a part of it. But Todd Monken had a lot to do with that. And this offense was a disaster under Todd Monken with Odell Beckham in Cleveland. Remember Come Get Me? When Odell and Jarvis were so frustrated with the team's offense that they were asking other teams to come get them? Allegedly. That was under Todd Monken. Something to keep in mind. The year Baker Mayfield almost led the league in interceptions. Or did he? No, Jameis had 30. Todd Monken. Also, the year that Jameis Winston led the league in interceptions. Todd Monken. There could be a lot of interceptions here for the Ravens if this does not go well. They're relying on Zay Flowers. He's a rookie. Rashad Bateman. He should be good. Is he going to stay healthy? Ronnie Stanley. He should be healthy, but is he going to be healthy? I don't know. That's the problem with the Ravens. Hey, man, if these things go right, I can see them being successful. But I don't trust that I'm going to see these things go right. The Dolphins, I would put them in the same category as the Chargers. I think there's a good chance they make the playoffs. I just don't think there's a chance that they're really a threat in the playoffs. The Jaguars, I have no idea where to land on the Jaguars. I honestly don't. Because I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be good or not. And look, I'm not saying that because I don't think Trevor Lawrence is good. I'm saying I have not seen enough of Trevor Lawrence to have a definitive opinion one way or the other. What I do know is that the media is doing their thing with him. And what I mean with doing their thing is, hey, we've been wanting Trevor Lawrence to be good for so long that the second he gives us an inch to believe he's good, boy, oh boy, we're going to go all the way with it. And they've gone all the way with it. I have seen the ridiculous takes that they have said about Trevor Lawrence. People already putting him in top 5s when he don't belong. People already talking about, is he going to be the quarterback of the like, we're doing the thing, y'all. We are doing the thing right now with Trevor Lawrence. And like he's kind of had half a good year. I would just like to see more with him. You know, people talk about wanting to see more with Jalen Hurts. Dog, but they out here pushing this this Trevor Lawrence. In his best game in the playoffs, he threw 5 interceptions. Like, we forget about that. We only talk about the second half of the game, and rightfully so, because he won. But dog, that first half happened. All I'm saying is I have no idea what the Jaguars are going to be this year. They could be great. They could be awful. Who knows what they're going to be? The Steelers are another team where it's like, hey, man, I know they're going to get at least 8 wins. I know they ain't going to be awful. I don't think they have much potential to be great, but I don't think they're going to be awful. And then we look at the AFC in total, and maybe there's going to be a team like that surprises us, right? Maybe the Broncos play well this year and Russ gets his groove back. Maybe the Texans, in this crazy gamble they took on CJ Stroud and Will Anderson, pays out for them and they surprise win their division. Right? Could happen. There's always surprises. There are always teams that are good, but the status quo of the AFC has not changed. And that's my main point. At the end of the day, there are 3 teams that matter in this conference, and there's everybody else that's trying to get in that conversation. There's the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. There's Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and there's Josh Allen and the Bills. Everybody else is fighting to stay in that conversation. There are some teams that have made the playoffs but not really made noise in there, like the Ravens. There are teams that have immense potential but haven't really lived up to that potential, like the Browns and the Chargers. There are teams that, hey, on paper, they look great, like the Jets and the Dolphins and even the Jaguars. But I don't know. I don't know about Tua. I don't know about Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sure if Aaron Rodgers is still going to be Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old on a new team. A lot of question marks in the AFC, right? A lot of quarterbacks for sure. You can list off the quarterback names and it's going to sound daunting. But the teams themselves are question marks, right? We talked about 3 teams that have teams that aren't question marks with quarterbacks that aren't question marks. Chiefs, Bengals, Bills. Jets, huge question mark at quarterback because we don't know how good Aaron Rodgers is going to be at this point. Huge question mark if that roster fit's going to work out. The Chargers are a perpetual question mark. The Browns are a perpetual question mark. The Ravens have proven to be a perpetual question mark at this point. The Dolphins with Tua, Tua is a huge question mark at this point. Trevor Lawrence is a huge question mark at this point. And that Jaguars roster is really young. Who knows how they're going to handle success? Yes, the AFC looks tough on paper, but it's the same AFC. Because the same way we was talking about the Chiefs, Bengals, Bills last year is the same way we're going to have to talk about it now. There's other names in the mix. Some of them teams are going to be good, some of them not. But at the end of the day, it's going to take about 9 to 10 wins to get the wild card and 11 wins if you want to win your division. The bar is the bar. It's been the same in the AFC since like 2018. But that's my thoughts on the AFC at large. Is the AFC too difficult for the Browns? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.